Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday week, and I just wanted to go over in this video an update to one of our favorite stocks that I am personally long on. That's PLTR, that's Palantir. And of course, if you enjoy this video, please do hit the like and subscribe to this channel. We are a 100% free content channel, so let's just jump right into it. So the stock has been really an interesting play. I mentioned in my last video sort of a strategy that I recommend if you're sort of holding along, which is selling covered calls out of the money. If you want to hold on to your shares every week, it's been great money. And so we had this, you could see the Bollinger Band, this upper band here. The middle band represents a 20-day moving average, and this lower band, we're trading in the upwards direction. Of course, we were on this upward band, which is extremely bullish. And then we came down and sort of unwinded down here around to the 21 level, and then we had this day where we pushed back up and hit the upper band, got rejected, and then we've been trading sideways. And so one of the things that you sort of look for when you're trading and use of, let's say, the Bollinger Band, is you can see that the upper band and lower band now have sort of consolidated to a much tighter range. Okay, so they're a much tighter range, and then you can see that when this channel forms, that the stock is really consolidating in a tight range. And so the upper limit, for example, here is, let's say, $30. The lower limit here is about $23. But just from watching the stock, right, we can identify this level here around 25. And then, of course, if we even look on our 15-minute chart, right, we can see that there's an upward level of 29, 29.40, 29.30-ish, let's just say $30 level. And so one of the things we mentioned in our last week's video, which we ended up doing, we mentioned, right, we were going to see sort of a failed break of that 28.40, 28.30 resistance. We would see a fail, and then we would see a test, and we'd break it. So we finally broke through it, which was awesome. And note the volume here, right? So in order to get through this level, look how much volume we traded at that level to break through this resistance right here, right? So we had these two massive candles in volume, and we held, and we actually closed above that level. And then we sort of validated. I felt like we actually validated that level here, right? So we bounced right onto that level right there. Again, the 28.40, and then we dipped all the way down to 27. However, we closed above that level that day, which was last week. And so as long as we dip below that level, that's fine. As long as we close above it, I still feel like it's valid. But what was interesting is we went sideways, but we couldn't crack anything north of 29.30, 29.40. And so I was selling the $30 calls out of the money. And then all of a sudden today, we sort of had this sort of sell-off on Christmas Eve, and we traded and closed below that support level of 28.40. So what was resistance before means that it should be support in the future. So the 28.40 should have acted as support, and it didn't, and it failed on Christmas Eve. And then of course it completely fell apart today, where we essentially traded from a high of 28.50, and we came all the way down to 25 in the mid 25. So it was about a 3-point drop, which is a 15, is a pretty decent drop for Palantir. So again, we're flushing people out. There is still not a whole lot of volume trading compared to where we were when we were really making these sort of bigger moves. And so I'm not worried about the company. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I am going for a long. And so I expect with this channel that we're going to continue to see sideways action. And as we exchange hands and we trade these shares, similar to Apple, if you look at the Apple chart, it's very similar. We had about 3 months of consolidation where we saw an uptrend. I don't expect Palantir to go through that long, but we're definitely going to need some catalyst in order to drive the stock. Now we've had, more contracts. We've had, existing clients renew their contracts with Palantir, which is great news, right? So once they get the product, once they get the data, they love it, they want more, and they continue that relationship. But they need to continue to build that platform. They need to continue to build their customers, which currently are just governments. And so as we sort of get, reports, and of course we get some earning reports, and then we start to get analysts on board and the sort of price target increases, that's when we're really going to start to see the action. The only concern that I personally have, that I'm a little concerned about, is what's going to happen once the lockup period is over. Meaning that if you were an initial Palantir investor, you're required to hold on to your shares for a certain amount of time, right? Because otherwise everyone would just flood the market and sell them day one. So a lot of times that's about a 6-month waiting period between when Palantir was essentially IPO'd until when it can sell. So I believe since it came out in September, we have until about, let's just say February, when these shares start to come out. And so what does that do to the stock? Okay. And so that's the thing I'm a little concerned about. We saw, we've seen it with Uber and several other companies. But in my case, if you're dip buying, anything of 25 and below is superb. And then, like I said, you're going to see a 29 resistance level. I expect us to trade sideways for quite a while. And like I said, it's about a $4 to $5 range, and I'll continue to sell the calls. So if you're holding on to at least 100 shares, look at doing covered calls, sell them out of the money. And like I said, you get to keep your shares, keep the premium. And it's just a great strategy to make some passive income while you're waiting for the next move up as we continue this sort of upward movement in the Palantir stock, which again, I think it's going to have a solid 2021. I think we're going to be, extremely happy. I could totally see the stock doubling in value over the next 12 months. Again, that's just sort of friendly advice. I'm not a financial investor or an expert. So please take that with a grain of salt. But again, analysts, all they can do is really just give a price target based on what they recommend and what they can forecast. But like I said, with everything that they got going on, as they build their sort of base and their customer base, I expect that the revenues will keep growing. They'll work on their margins, and of course they'll improve the platform, which won't of course cost as much as it did initially when they were trying to create it from scratch. All right, guys. Well, with that said, if you have any questions or comments, please do post them below. I do respond to all the comments. And if you did like the video, again, please do hit the like and subscribe to this channel. We're a 100% free content channel. As always, guys, happy holidays. I hope you have an awesome final week of the trading year. And I will see you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.